We're trying to build a whole house for somebody for less than $99,000. We will go through a few applications and figure out what makes the project feasible or infeasible. Ooh, that's going to be a tough one to squeeze. That has demo costs and a demo permit, and that's going to be very harmful for the 99K budget. I don't want to make any promises because slope always makes things more expensive. This is called the 99K ADU project. If you want to apply to be the person who gets an ADU for 99K, you can do that with the application link in the video description below. In this video, I'm going to go through some of the applications we've received so far. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll see a lot of the different paths that we've developed to get an ADU for less than 100,000. The one I'm going to start with is what we're going to go through today. We will go through a few applications and figure out what makes the project feasible or infeasible for one specific path. So one of the biggest obstacles people still have with ADUs is I just don't have $300,000 to spend, right? I thought this would be like a 5-figure project. And I think one of the ways I can get there is to do a detached new construction ground up ADU for under 99K. I'd like to do it with a general contractor and still hit that budget because that leaves even more room for people who want to own or build. Maybe you save a little here, save a little there. In addition to creating a cool accessory dwelling unit for somebody who couldn't afford to do one otherwise, I really want to lay out a path here that a lot of you can follow. So broadly, we're going to go through the applicants. We're going to make sure that they know that we're talking about a tiny. Then I'm going to check their property for some basics like, is it a flat pad? Is there easy access for a panel kit, which is what I want to try to accomplish on their project? And do I think eyeballing it's a viable project? What's the utility situation look like? And then we're also going to take in mind the jurisdiction, because sometimes if you're in a jurisdiction that's super friendly, that's interesting. If you're in a jurisdiction where I know the fees are low, that's really helpful, or there's fee waivers. If you're in a jurisdiction with individual, like regional grants or regional loans available, that's really interesting. I don't want to lean too heavy on those, but at the same time, it's pretty cool if you can get $40,000, $80,000 from the city or the county. I'm not going to say no to that. So without further ado, let's crack into the actual project. So this is the actual application on toadU.com where you can apply for the 99K ADU project. You give me your email, your name, street address, city. You pick your zip code from a list. If you are open to a very small footprint, that's an interesting question because very small footprint, under 300 square feet, that really opens up the possibilities. Are you open to building detached? I really want to focus on detached structures this go around. Garage conversions are interesting and we'll definitely do some, but I want to get one detached new construction. Are you open to managing multiple subcontractors yourself? So this is kind of the owner build question. Actually, I would prefer people GC this first one, but that's still for a future path. I'm interested in exploring how much leverage we can get out of owner builder projects. Are you open to offsite construction like manufactured housing? So I really think one of the solutions we're going to use here to be super predictable about costs on the tiny is using a panel kit. And so I've put this question in there to figure that out. Do you plan on renting this ADU or the primary house? This is helpful for me too for a number of the loans and programs. Can you comfortably afford the 99K? This is important to me because I don't want to expose people to too much risk if they aren't financially secure. The truth is, this first project is an experiment, right? I'm very confident I have a path to beating the 99K budget. I have multiple paths. Having said that, there's still a lot of uncertainty, and I don't want to put somebody at risk who can't comfortably afford the 99,000. Having said that, I ask also, could you access 130,000? What if it overruns by 20 or 30,000? Could you still afford that comfortably? And if people say no, I still want to show you the solutions. Maybe there'd be some extenuating circumstances. Maybe I'll come back to you once I have more confidence because we've done this a couple times. But in the early days, it's very important to me not to be predatory, not to put people at risk. So that's what those questions are about. And let us dive into some of the results. I just putzed around a little bit in the data. I need to be able to talk about people. I need to keep all the Los Angeles entries separate. So I need some kind of name, but I didn't want to show you everybody's names. So now I've got initials in next to their names and their answers. All right. I'm just going to say they're open to small square footprint and they know how they'd access the 99K. And we'll start there. Heck, let's make sure that they have the 130K. And we'll start there. So overall, we've got 93 applicants so far. That's pretty exciting. And we're going to hop over and create some filters on my view without all their private information. The filters are for units under 300 square feet and where they know how they'd get the 99K and that I haven't marked them ineligible for some other reason. Overall, I've got 48 entries to look at, which is pretty exciting. I'm also kind of curious where these are split up just between us because, I mean, let's face it, I live up in Napa, I'm in the Bay Area, so people always ask, would you do a project here? Would you do a project there? I'm open to everything. And what's exciting is because this 99K ADU project has gotten a lot of tongues wagging, a lot of people are looking at it in SoCal and saying, hey Ryan, can I do one of the projects in SoCal that you, and like, so there are lots of options. Apply no matter where you are. There's a good chance that if I think your project is eligible, I will hook up with a professional down there and we'll talk about how to make it happen. In this form, you share your address with me, and I've just broken it up by all the different so that I can see, okay, we got a couple of Contra Costa, one in Fresno, 14 in Los Angeles County, one in my neck of the woods, one in Orange, a couple in Riverside. I'll do a regional breakdown of these too, but you get the gist. A lot in SoCal, and that's great. I would love to do multiple 99K ADUs, but at first, I want to walk before I run. I want to grab one project that's like a slam dunk. I want it to be in my neck of the woods. That could be the entire Bay Area. But if I say the truth, I am preferential to the North Bay and then the East Bay. Sacramento is a very friendly jurisdiction, so I would consider that too. One of the paths to doing this is actually, I don't want to give it all away, but one of the paths to doing this is especially possible in Sacramento, where they allow multiple ADUs. But yeah, you see 14 in LA County and then a bunch in Orange and Inland Empire. And it's really interesting to do something in SoCal too. Without further ado, let's just start going into actual projects. I'm just going to grab an address off the list and we're going to start trucking through. Can I turn off all the street names and stuff? Nice. Okay. I'm in their street. So this is the first address. It's a corner lot. It looks like they have a structure in the backyard, which we could replace. If we had to go between that structure and the main house, it's looking like there's only 26 feet there. If I give 6 feet to the main house and 6 feet to this backyard structure, that's enough room to put something in the back, but that is not an ideal living situation. If they want to replace this structure, it's possible, but it looks pretty new. Also looks like there's some slope going this direction. Looks like there's a little bit of slope going this direction, but nothing crazy. I will put down that I am skeptical about this because of the existing garage structure. That's my note for this project. So I'm putting that it looks like there's a detached garage taking up most of the backyard. There's a slight slope of the street, but not a big concern. There's access to the side alley, and check the power lines in side alley for easements, drops. So this is kind of a preliminary review. When I grab projects that are most likely viable, what I'll do is I'll share a few addresses with contractors who are going to look at the property and confirm what I said or reject it completely because I don't know what I'm talking about sometimes. And that's the process, right? This person didn't share their full address, so ineligible. No real address. Alrighty. Now we're going to do KM in San Diego. Every time I have to go into satellite, then turn off labels so you don't see all the street names. Okay, but I need the street names. Okay. Looking at this property here, looks like it's already got 2 stories. Might be separate units already by the looks of it. Long garage or long driveway with a garage at the end. Some kind of checkered pattern thing back there. Oh, that belongs to the property behind them in all likelihood. Okay, they do not have a lot of space. Like they are developed up, right? So if we come in here, we're probably replacing this garage, or maybe this is like not a habitable structure, so they want to put it there, but like They are using the lot to its full potential already. I'll check in with them, but mostly it looks like, ooh, that's going to be a tough one to squeeze even a tiny in unless we're replacing something. And if we're replacing something, that has demo costs and a demo permit, and that's going to be very harmful for the 99K budget. Okie dokie. Next, we're going to look at an address in Rosemead. So we're looking at this property. That's pretty cool. I like it. So big backyard, big pad, pretty far from the neighbors on every side. This side looks a little industrial commercial. So definitely the kind of lot that's underutilized, right? Especially compared to that other one we were looking at in San Diego. It's like, okay, you could really see where an ADU could go in one of the corners. It could go back here, right spot in the middle. There's a lot of purposes that we could accomplish here. All right. This has everything going for it. There's some street access. Yeah. We could come in through here very easily. Access the back. Big power line, so I always want to check the easements, but those are really up here. So on this side of the property, doesn't look to be an issue on the other side. Very cool. Let's just look at it from this other side. There we go. That's cool. Okay. Next up, a little address in San Diego. Okay, we're looking at this address now, another San Diego one. This is much more interesting because what they have is a giant open front yard and then one of these kind of wonky trapezoidal yards. This happens a lot in developments where like the big backyards kind of meet at a weird angle and create these big trapezoids. So you have a lot more space in one corner than in the other because it's not all right angles. And sometimes that's also because it's slopey. That does look to be the case. But this lot looks like they've already built the house on the complicated part and kind of flattened it out. And so this front yard probably has some slope too, but it's an interesting candidate for doing something out in the front. All right. What else can we say? Lots of front access. Front yard ADUs are sometimes more complicated with the planning department. San Diego has pretty progressive ADU rules, so I imagine that they understand that that's legal. What's especially interesting about this is I could imagine one of my other solutions working here, which again, I don't want to give too much away, but when you've got this much space, I might as well say it, I think that they could put in multiple ADUs in one structure. And by doing that, the cost per ADU could easily be $99K because they're doing 3 ADUs for, $250,000 or something like that. And that's very imaginable if they're willing to do small units. And they can do those bonus ADUs because San Diego has a bonus program. So that's very interesting. The slope is an issue, so I'll put that in as a more expensive project. I think that slope is going to prevent us from doing a tiny, very cheap, but it already looks like they've done a bunch of terracing and retention walls. So I'll contact them about their slope and see what their progress is. It's possible we could put a tiny in here, but I don't want to promise anything. It looks complicated. So I'm going to put unsure. Then actually I'm going to look them up on Symbian too, because sometimes you get much different satellite imagery on Symbian. So I'm going to look them up on Symbian real fast. Well, that's a cool little animation. That's new. Okay. Well, they've changed the interface on me. Satellite view. Oh, they made the lines all curvy. Very cool. Okay, click this. This used to work. Oh, there it is. Okay. Change the interface a little, but it still works. Cool. So it is kind of still showing that slope, but here it looks like there's 2 car parking spots, and that's what they're using that for. Interesting. Okay, maybe we can get in there and replace those those parking spots with a tiny or two tinies. But at the same time, I don't want to make any promises because slope always makes things more expensive. Okay, truth be told, to be honest, I have already looked this one up because it's so close to my house. And I got really excited when the lead came in. And actually, it is a good project. So they've got a big enough backyard that I can fit something back there, right? We can do a little measuring of distance from the back to the kind of back of the house. Let's measure it like that. Oops. No. Bad Ryan. Let's measure from the back to the back of the house. That's 32 feet. So you've got a lot of room to get in there and put an ADU in the backyard. You could definitely fit a tiny back here because I've got 32 feet between the house, where the house stretches all the way back and to the wall. Plus I have this corner to play with where I would have even more room, so I could put it in at an angle. Access looks a little difficult, so I emailed this homeowner about whether I'd be able to bring panels in through the side. The answer was yes. The other thing about this is it's pretty close to the house, so trenching won't be an issue. There's no significant slope. It's a big flat lot. American Canyon is pretty friendly to ADU development. And what's really good is that it's in Napa County, and Napa County is about to launch a bunch of forgivable loans. So if this project qualifies for the forgivable loans, not only could I build a 99K ADU in the backyard, but I might also be able to get this homeowner a $40,000 forgivable loan for that studio. Or if we do a one bedroom, we might be able to get them $80,000. And so if I can come in at a 99K budget on a one bedroom and then 80,000 of it is a forgivable loan, you can see why that is exceptionally appealing to me, why I'm very excited to go visit this homeowner in American Canyon in person and figure out what we can do together. Because if I could get a one bedroom built for basically less than $20,000 all in after the forgivable loans, that is epic. That is delightful. So we will be visiting this here property in person. Now I do have questions about access because it looks like a fence on this side and it looks like trees over here. So I emailed them my questions. I also just want them to send me some pictures, some video of the property. I want them to talk to camera a little bit so I can see if they're going to be good storytellers and partners through this process. And yeah, I'm just generally pretty excited about the potential of this ADU spot. So there you have it. That's how I do this. I'm going to go through 100 applications. Hopefully we'll go through hundreds more. This first one's going to be a tiny, but eventually I'll do a whole series about a garage conversion. Eventually I'll do a series about Los Angeles. Eventually I'll do a series about Sacramento. So wherever you are, please consider signing up for the whole series and check out the videos that have already come out in this playlist right here. Thank you very much. Have a great one. Let's build some housing.
Are you on the phone?
No, I'm recording.
Are you recording?
It's casual though.
Huh?
It's casual. It's fake beer o'clock.